Will the Washington County Services Committee please come to order? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Tonight, we've asked Justice Rivera Lopez to lead us in the prayer and the pledge. Justice Lopez.
Lord, I ask that you give us guidance as we take this privilege to be here to represent others and to have the responsibility to think about others and how our decisions might affect them. Lord, I ask that you give us prudence, that you give us grace, and that you allow us to make the best decision for the residents of Washington County. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Justice Lopez. Next, we have, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I have some changes for the agenda.
I'm sorry, I have Justice Washington first. Hold on just one moment.
Thank you.
Justice Washington.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we remove items 8 and item 9 from the agenda, as we will hear item 9 in next month's county services meeting, and the presenters for item 8 will let us know when they're going to present.
Okay. So I have a motion to remove items 8 and 9 from the agenda. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Items 8 and 9 have been removed from the agenda. I have Justice Lyons.
Thank you, Chair. I want to start with item 10. So last month in this committee meeting, item 10 was postponed until an Attorney General opinion was provided at the judge's request. I've not seen that opinion being provided, therefore I assume we have not gotten it. And therefore, I believe it should never have been put on the agenda, since why we postponed it was never satisfied. Therefore, I move we remove item 10 until such time that that Attorney General opinion is provided.
Justice Lyons, we have received the opinion.
It's not at
Mo- One moment, please.
We requested an AG's opinion. We got a letter back that the AG would not provide an opinion because it did not relate to FOIA, and therefore we could not request an AG's opinion. An AG's opinion outside of FOIA can only come from a state representative or one of the constitutional officers of the state. And so our opinion is it was not a FOIA request, did not deal with FOIA, and therefore they would not give us an opinion.
But if a representative requested one, he would give an opinion. Is that what, did I understand you correctly?
They could ask it for an opinion, but it's not a FOIA. We requested it, and they said it was not under, it did not fall under FOIA.
I understand.
So-
That wasn't, I don't think that was the point, if I'm not sure I'm following. I apologize.
So just letting you know.
Okay. So I did request through my representative an opinion on whether or not it should be released in any public forum, given their opinion on not releasing it to the public via FOIA. So I am waiting on that to come back through my representative. Again, regardless of what you want to do, it needs to be removed. So I move we remove item 10 from the agenda tonight. And if we're not going to wait till postponing it for that opinion to come back, then I think we just need to decide what the new postponement's going to be. But for now, I think it needs to be removed.
I have a motion to remove item number 10 and a second by Justice Lemming. I'm going to have a roll, raise your hands. All in favor, raise your hand.
All in favor for.
Removing it from the agenda. All opposed, raise your hands. The item number 10 is now removed from the agenda.
I have another one, Chair, if I could.
Pardon?
I have another agenda change, if I could, please.
Okay. You have the
Okay.
floor.
So item 11, given the agenda just came out today, and I have a lot of questions outstanding on it, and I don't think other JPs have had time to really prepare for that. I think that should be postponed till Tuesday's Finance and Budget Committee.
I will say we're going to listen to it, and then if it's approved, it will be forward on to the Budget and Finance Committee for final approval, because that is an appropriation of monies if they're asking. But this is for them to give a report and for us to engage in conversation with returning home.
If we want to give a report and engage in conversation, that's fine, but there should be, my opinion, the ordinance needs to be moved for a vote in Tuesday's Budget and
It will
Finance
be.
Committee. Okay, so this item is just to discuss it and get input.
And if it's moved, if everybody is in favor of it, it gets advanced to the Budget and Finance Committee. That was always our process before.
No, I'm sorry, it just doesn't make sense. I apologize.
That's all right.
If we want to discuss and hear a report, that's fine. You need to change the title of the agenda item to that. Versus we're gonna discuss and vote on an ordinance appropriating Monday, is what the agenda says we're gonna do tonight. Once it's voted on from here, it goes to the quorum court. It doesn't come back to the Budget and Finance Committee meeting.
No, it advances to the Budget and Finance Committee.
That's fine. It's not what the agenda indicates. So we have a lot of problems
It
with the
will go
agenda
to the
this
Budget and
week.
Finance. Once the motion is made and the vote is going to be taken, it gets advanced to the Budget and Finance Committee for appropriations. All appropriations must go through either the quorum court or the Budget and Finance Committee.
Okay.
Thank you. I have Justice Bruns.
One, I believe we had a motion on the floor for his statement, and we just passed over it. Did we not? Did you not have a motion? Okay,
Was there a second to remove
I
it?
second it,
Okay, I didn't hear you.
okay.
Okay, all in
And-
favor, then let's just do this properly. All in favor to remove item number 10, or I'm sorry, item number 11. Correct? Item number 11 from the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. No. Let's have a vote with raising your right hand, if you would, please. All in favor, raise your right hand. To remove it from the agenda. So why are we having a meeting? That motion passes. Item number 11 is removed from County Services agenda. Okay, moving on.
I have an agenda item that I
Okay.
wanted to add. If we can do that, I would like to, reading over some of these ordinances long before I came in, I noticed that there was a signage on vehicles ordinance, and it's very inconsistent, the way it's being presented, and the way it's being used. And I'd like to see some consistency with it, and I will have something in writing for the quorum court meeting, if that's okay. Is that all right, Mr. Lester?
I don't think so. One moment, please.
Any JP can add an item to the quorum court meeting, it just takes a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
So it'll take 10 votes to add, if you have, is it an ordinance?
No, I'm not gonna present an ordinance. I'm gonna add to an ordinance and clarify.
So amend an ordinance, yeah, so an ordinance, to amend an ordinance, you'll have to have an ordinance. It takes an ordinance to amend an ordinance.
Okay,
And then any ordinance can be added by a two-thirds vote of the quorum court without it going to a committee meeting, without it going to a committee first.
Okay. I don't have it set in front of me today, so, I'll just have to bring it to the budget committee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I need a motion, oh my goodness, motion to adopt, I have Willie Lemming.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as been amended.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Justice Pond?
To that, can we not still hear from the returning home folks? They're here to make a presentation, even though we're not gonna vote. Okay.
Can we include a CAP report?
We're still gonna hear from the CRI report.
But they're two different,
Okay. Just needed to make sure I didn't know what was going on. Thank you.
Can we still listen to the CAP report? Returning home? I have Justice Rivera Lopez.
Point of clarification, so can we vote to modify the agenda if there's already a motion in place to adopt the amended agenda?
There's only a motion and a second. It hasn't been adopted yet. We're still in that process. And that's the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, is that, would you agree with that, counsel?
You can move to amend
Okay,
the motion.
okay. Then I move to amend the motion to add on a CAP report to the agenda.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That will be added to the report as well.
Now we're back to the main motion made by J.P. Lemming,
Correct. We're back to,
which has already
Justice
been made
Lemming?
and seconded, so now it's
Correct.
time to vote on that.
so now we're going to vote on the adopted agenda. Everybody on board? No, there's already one.
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? That motion carries. Goodness. All right, now, item number 4 is the chairman's report. September has been an eventful month for our county. Last Monday, we launched our inaugural bi-county, Washington County and Benton County quorum court meeting held at Springdale City Hall and hosted by Springdale's Mayor Doug Sprouse. Springdale City Hall is an impressive facility. I received a comment from a fellow JP from Sebastian County who said, "Wow, how do we get a facility like that?" Springdale, you're to be commended. It's beautiful. The purpose of the meeting was to address Northwest Arkansas's biggest challenge, the rapid growth in Northwest Arkansas. Growing Home, a regional study commissioned by Northwest Arkansas Council and led by planning firm DPZ Company Design. The study looks at what it will take for the region to keep up with the rapid growth, including a projected population of 1 million by 2050. That's only 25 years from now. The study highlights both opportunities and concerns. Among the top challenges is housing becoming less affordable for working families, growing traffic congestion, and uneven infrastructure in fast-growing or rural areas. While Benton County's leaders noted the need for smaller land use or smarter land use, planning and a plan for preserving the green spaces and natural beauty of our area, Washington County has the advantage. Our advantage is that we are the only county in Arkansas with zoning laws. We have a proposed zoning plan ordinance, which I believe, once it's passed, will help guide us to be the best county to live in. Additionally, Washington County achieved a key milestone in the completion of our Emergency Operations Command Center. The project came in under budget and ahead of schedule. Many of us attended the ribbon cutting ceremony this past Wednesday. I want to thank everyone for their dedication and hard work, and I am confident that we will continue to build on this momentum in the coming months and years to come. With that, we have item number 5 on the agenda. It's our juvenile detention report by Director Tinsley. Good evening, sir. Oops. Could you push that on again, please? I deleted you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, and good evening to the County Service Committee members. I'd like to share our Juvenile Detention Center monthly report for September of 2025. This report covers 25 days of data. In September, we had 22 intakes, and the average length of stay was about 49.78 days. Our average daily population came out just over 9.56 residents per day. The most common charge for intakes was terroristic threat and felony at 4 cases. Of the 22 intakes from Washington and Madison counties, 14 intakes were from Division 8 and 8 intakes were from Division 3. We also had 6 transports during the month of September. 5 were handled by the Juvenile Detention Center and 1 was done by Central EMS. This concludes the September report. Are there any questions that I can answer at this time?
I have Justice Bruns.
Actually, my question was before he got up there, and it was for the chairman's report. And my question is, I do remember that this committee that we went to at Springdale, they said they weren't quite done with the unincorporated statistics and what direction they're going in. Could we get a copy of that when they are done with it? Is there?
I'm sure they'll give it to us at the next meeting, but also that's on their website.
It's not on their website yet.
Well, because they haven't done it yet. But I'm sure you'll get that information as soon as we can. I don't have it because it's not completed. Okay? Thank you. I have Justice Wilson.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Director Tinsley.
Yes, sir.
I had a couple of questions. I want to make sure I understood. I thought I saw in here that it was about 5 days that the average stay. Is that what you said in your report too, or was that?
No, so that's for 2024. So for 2025, it's been about 49.7 days, average length of stay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We've been averaging about 9.56 kids a day.
Okay. And the question that was just what I needed for some clarification.
Yes, sir.
The question I had for you tonight, I wonder if you could speak to something for us. I know that everybody in this room, I think it's safe to say, when we have a young person who ends up staying with you and your staff, I think we really and truly hope that's their last encounter with having some trouble, but we know realistically that probably doesn't happen all the time.
Correct.
But could you speak to intervention efforts that may be underway, or how often does it come up where you have a success story, maybe you've dealt with a young person, and having said that, I know you don't have, any magic formula, but, how often does that discussion come up where you're trying to make sure that this is really their last encounter with making some poor decisions, or were they getting some trouble?
Yes, sir, J.P. Wilson. a large percent of the time, I want to say about 70, 80%, we have juveniles that just get detained once and we don't see them again. Now, this other 30%, 20%, somewhere around that range, you know, they're just going to be our repeat offenders or to that nature, where, you know, and so these young men and young women get, you know, opportunities and chances to self-correct. We're very fortunate in this county that, you know, we have programs and we have other diversion programs that we can apply and let these kids be a part of, instead of just sending them straight to the Division of Youth Services in Little Rock and Alexander and these other places. You know, for example, we're holding a kid out of another county, and they don't have the services that we offer in Washington County. And so this kid has been committed to DYS on some on misdemeanor charges, you know, and something that was, you know, nonviolent, just, you know, nothing very serious, but they don't have the resources that we have. And so we try to explain it to the kids sometimes to kind of take advantage of these opportunities, because, you know, a lot of kids don't have that, are not fortunate enough to be able to get second chances in different counties. But we really just try to pass the message along as much as we can, and do these diversion programs on the weekends and take the kids out and then try to show them something different. Some of them just don't get it. Some of them do, so.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's very helpful.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I have Justice Ricker.
Yes, sir. You said one person was transported by EMS. Was it illness or somebody injured or?
Yes, sir. So a lot of times, you know, these kids have unknown illnesses that they don't disclose to us. Right. And so anytime that a juvenile is having a crisis situation, whether it's mental or physical, we're not gonna, you know, we take everything serious. Now, you know, me, myself, I'm a CPR instructor for our JDC, but when something is happening, we're not gonna mess around with that. And so the first thing I instruct my staff to do is, you see somebody on the floor, you know, whether they're having a seizure, whether, you know, anything is happening, we call 911, and then we try to seek medical attention as much as we can help. And after that, we let, you know, the experts come in and make that decision. Does that kid need to go to Children's Hospital? Do we need to go to, you know, a MediServe clinic or something of that nature?
So this wasn't an injury of some sort, or like a bite or something?
Correct. I think the kid was having a bad panic attack. You know, again, I'm no expert, and I'm not going to play around with someone else's kid.
I have Justice Rivera Lopez.
Thank you, Director Tinsley. I wanted to take a quick moment because as someone who went to school with people who have gone through your program, and my brother for a period ran a community space in which Director Tinsley had you know, juvenile detention court was in that facility. And having personally witnessed the sort of care that goes into treating, you know, adolescents who are going through these issues, I couldn't be prouder of the sort of people that we have in those positions. And I would say that, you know, our job is about feedback, allowing these people to have opportunities to self-correct, and having this opportunity within our penal system where, you know, we take adolescents and we continue to socialize them when maybe we failed the first time. That makes all the difference in so many people's lives. And I couldn't speak highly enough about the work that you do, the work that I've seen firsthand. I just want to say thank you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Well said. I have Justice Massengale. One moment, please.
Thank you, Director Tinsley.
Yes, sir.
Looking at the statistics, looks like a big jump in the average length of stay, 5 days to almost 50. Is there, you got any idea what the cause of that is?
Yes, sir, I do. So we had some kids that were committed to Division of Youth Services, and the issue that they're having now, again, this goes back to some counties not having the funding or programs that we have. So a lot of kids come from different parts of Arkansas. And so the waiting list and the turnaround time to get into DYS is almost 3 to 4 months. And so this is why our numbers have spiked with kids staying so much longer. For example, we had a kid that was committed in July, and, he just, went this month. So that just kind of to show you that, everything is moving at a slower pace. And we just try to, encourage the kids like, hey, just take your time, enjoy this, time while you're here, finish working on your schoolwork. We can't commend our teachers from Fayetteville, Ohio, for the job they do with getting these kids prepared and getting those credits back to where they need to be to graduate on time. So that's been the biggest issue. It's just everything's backed up at this point.
Okay, and then also, I noticed that there was this terroristic threatening is something, is that new for 2025, or is that just an increase?
It's so battery and terroristic threatening are kind of our two major delinquency charges that kids get, here in Washington County. Most of the time, domestic battery as well, whether it's against a family member. Sometimes it's with a weapon. Sometimes it's just word of mouth. Sometimes the kid sends out a text that, they airdrop at school about doing some things that are unfortunate, and everything is taken serious. So yes, sir, that's what we see the big spike with terroristic threatening. And again, this report came out, September 25th. So we have seen, additional kids come in on terroristic threatening since this report came out, and we'll forward the full report of the whole month about October the 1st.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Along those lines, can you give us an example of what a terroristic threat would be like?
Shooting,
Do you know?
discharging a firearm, just making a threat against, I'm going to shoot someone, or I may just cause some serious harm to you. Just things of that nature.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It just depends on the severity of the act.
Okay. I have Justice Koger.
Chair, thank you. Maybe you've already covered this, but I'm looking at the report for this period last year in 2024, and we
Yes,
had
ma'am.
days of detention 122 and intakes of 21. For the same period this year, we had intakes of 22, but days of detention were up 555.75.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that relate to what J.P. Massengill
Yes,
was?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just kids staying longer. Again, we had those 5 kids that were committed to the Division of Youth Services, and we even had the Division of Youth Services reach out to me personally to hold some kids from different counties. I usually don't do that, do those type of things, just because we have 2 different divisions now, but they were kind of in a bad spot because some of these counties don't have a JDC to send a kid, and we got to get these kids fast-tracked into their destination before they can continue going on with their lives. So a lot of times, I would tell Miss Tammy Vincent down in Little Rock, is like, hey, I can hold this kid, but I can only do a handful because I have to keep beds for kids in our county and for both divisions at all times.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was recently at a luncheon, and I got to see Stacy Zimmerman, our former judge. And she said sometimes the safest place for the kids is in the detention center. And they know it, and they feel good about being safe.
Absolutely.
And could you just elaborate a little bit about that? That yes, we have a lot, but it's a safe spot for them.
Yes, ma'am. In this area, a lot of kids are sex trafficked, or they're on, serious drugs. And going back to Judge Zimmerman, as being a JPO for her at one point in time, she would make that decision and sometimes the kids would get upset, but, you have to step in and intervene, and, because this kid is a harm to themselves or others. And so for a long time, a lot of times the kids don't understand right off the bat because they think, oh, I'm going to go home today. But that's not necessarily the case. And so, Judge Zimmerman always would make that I have to step in and stop you from hurting yourself, even, damaging your body or yourself even further. And we see it a lot too with Judge Egan and for Judge Warren. They make these tough calls and tough decisions that families and kids don't agree with, but they're only just doing what's best for that kid at the time.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Director Tinsley? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Yes,
Good
ma'am.
report. Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening. Next on the agenda, we have the sheriff. Why don't I have this? Okay, I have the sheriff's report. Sheriff Control, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Madam Chair.
Good.
Thank you, fellow justices. I'll be as brief as I can on my report, but there's a lot of information that we'd like to go over. Calls for service are up just a little bit on our patrol side. You all were at the meeting last Monday, talked about the population increase. We see population growth, not just in the cities, but also out in the county, which in turn increases our calls for service. But we're able to keep up with our current staffing level. In fact, we're only one short in our patrol section right now, so we're very grateful for that. I want to brag a little bit about our patrol deputies, but about all the deputies. Last month at the University of Arkansas, they had a hoaxing call, a swatting call of an active shooter at the University of Arkansas campus, and within just minutes, Washington County Sheriff's Office had 35 deputies there. With and the good thing about that is that these calls came in at multiple locations around the campus, some of them off campus, down off 6th Street. We had deputies that were close and responded immediately to those locations. Thank goodness it was a hoax and there was no one was injured or hurt and there was not a shooter. But I was very proud of our forces, our deputies, for responding so quickly. And when the call came out, they responded. And so that's the kind of people we have working down there. At the recent Razorback football game, we had 48 deputies assisting the University Police Department with security at the football game. Just one of our missions is to quell the riots and keep the peace in the county. So that's one of our peacekeeping operations to help with crowd control, with traffic control, and obviously university reimburses us for those deputies, but we had 48 out of about 145 law enforcement officers that were there this past Saturday. So, and that's every time we have a Razorback game. So our deputies are quick to respond and quick to step up to the challenge. Our jail numbers are down a little bit from last year, but we still have an influx of people, more people than we have beds for. We have, this morning, we had 164 people sleeping on the floor. A couple reasons for that. One, it was a weekend. It was a Razorback football weekend. We released 25 today, so that number will be less tonight. But we've also, with the construction going on, as I mentioned last month, we've lost 96 of our minimum security beds. During construction, they pulled the face off that building to get ready to attach the other building to it. So we've had to move those detainees over into the general population in the main housing pods. But we're working through it. We've got staffing level at the jail is better. We're down 20 people now instead of 30 or 35 or 40 where we've been. So we've only got 20 openings at the jail. Have a in-person hiring event this Thursday to try to recruit some more people. We had one of those last month, and we got 3 really solid applicants that are currently working out of that hiring event. So we're hopeful this Thursday will be as good. Just a quick update on our construction project. Getting a lot of progress down there, both with our little remodel that we did inside the facility, the sheriff's office, when we moved Central EMS down into our training room and moved our dispatch center in there. We had that area that we needed to remodel and make it more usable, and that is almost complete. We are waiting on doors and some baseboard around the wall where the new carpet's gone down, and then the bullet-resistant glass that will go there in the front lobby area. We expect that in this week, so maybe by next week that project will be wrapped up. The construction on the COVID mitigation got behind schedule, but they're gaining ground. They've had some good work weather, and they've got some areas now that are under roof that they can work in when it does rain. So That project's coming along very well, so excited for that, to see some progress. It's gonna be an inconvenience as we move into remodeling the little courtroom we have down there. It'll be expanded, there'll be a gallery, there'll be room for the public to actually come in and sit and observe court. And, but that's gonna cause that courtroom to be closed for a few months, and they're gonna actually have court in this room on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, and the judges will come up here and we'll transport the people up here that have to come up for those hearings. But we're prepared for that inconvenience, and we'll get through it okay. Let's see, what else have I got on my notes? Got 129 women currently in jail. Well, that was at midday today, and 77 U.S. Marshal prisoners and 14 for immigration. Immigration moves their people out pretty quickly down to their processing facility in Louisiana. So, but they've been running 6 to 8 to 10 typically every day. They don't stay very long, but they're moving them in and moving them out pretty quickly. So, anyway, any questions anybody might have, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I have Justice Robert Dennis. Just one moment, please, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This question is a silly question in a way, but it came up because I was at a sleep doctor with my wife, and he suggested we put the mattress on the floor. And as you said, we have so many certain number of prisoners sleeping on the floor. I think you need to change your grammar just a little bit. Don't they have a mattress?
Yes, actually 2 mattresses. If they don't have a bunk, then they get 2 mattresses, so they get double 2 pads.
So I just think for the benefit of the people that don't know, I know what it is, but they have a mattress and a...
Yeah, actually 2 mattresses, so they're elevated, 6 inches, 6 inches or so off the floor.
But they're placed on the floor.
Yes, they just don't have an assigned
Well,
bunk.
I just think you ought to change that a little bit so that people that never have been at jail, they might hear you say they're sleeping on the floor and think they're literally sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, a little pallet in the corner like we did when we were kids.
Maybe not even that. So I would just encourage you to say that a little differently because they've got a mattress.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Would you recommend sleep therapy? Is that what they're sleeping on the floor does?
My wife said she wasn't going to put the mattress on the floor, but anyway, if that's what you asked about. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have next Justice Cogar.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. You covered just about everything, but what about the number of COVID?
No COVID. Haven't had any COVID since September 10th. Trying to get ahead of myself. Since September 10th was our last confirmed case of COVID. So.
And so there's no one in quarantine?
No one in quarantine today, no one.
Since someone else did bring up about the mattresses, I would just say, would you really call them a mattress, or is it more like foam rubber? Maybe you could just bring a couple.
It's a mat. It's a mat.
Maybe you could bring a couple next month and just.
It's about 3 inches thick, and that's the same mat that they get if they're sleeping on a bunk. They get that same mat when they sleep on the steel bunk or on a elevated concrete platform that's a bed. So it's the same mat that they get, but about 3 inches thick and 3 feet wide and 74 inches long.
Maybe it's time for us to take a tour.
Be happy to show you around anytime you want to come
And
down.
some people want to sleep on the floor instead of in the bunks, correct?
Some prefer, especially a top bunk. They just don't like it. Maybe they're afraid of heights or afraid they'll roll out, or for whatever reason, some of them will prefer to sleep down on the ground.
I have Justice Dean.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, Jay, is there any place online people can go to watch the progress of the construction going on?
Well, we've got, we did put up a weather camera at the sheriff's office that's got 4 different views.
Okay.
So you can look at that. It's a live view, and it does show some of the progress. You know, we're trying to record some of that and want to stitch together a video once the project's done, and then have that video kind of play in fast motion to watch the progress. But just at our weather camera, and it's on the county's webpage.
Okay.
And it also has got the weather information in the wind and the rain, but it does have 4 camera views. So 2 of those show the construction sites as they're working.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Justice Massengale.
I just want to commend the Sheriff's Department for their response to the terroristic deal that happened at the college. I think you guys did an incredible job.
Yeah, that was a scary thing to see that and hear that come in and to watch people responding. It could have been a really terrible disaster. And we're seeing that across the country more and more. I think that no one's immune. You know, we saw it in Michigan at a church was attacked. We saw a restaurant, North Carolina, over the weekend that was attacked by an active shooter. You know, we're just seeing it more and more. So no place is immune.
Yeah, I've got a kid that goes to college, and he was there on the phone with his mom, and it was reassuring to see the law enforcement response that we got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Sheriff Cantrell? Oh. I have Justice Bruns.
Sheriff, I've known you for 44 years. And being a retired policeman myself, we've worked together on many occasions. And I just want to say that your response, your department's response for that issue on the U of A campus was just superb.
Thank you.
And I commend your office. I commend, it was by other police departments too, but.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You're the one
absolutely.
I'm talking to now, but, you know, state police came in, Fayetteville PD came in. It was just unbelievable, and it shows you one thing, that the police departments in Northwest Arkansas will be there when there's a call.
I believe we will, yes, sir.
And I'm very, very proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Madam
Have a
Chairman.
good evening. Next on the agenda is a report by Nick Robbins, the the CRI report and the CAP report. Community Rebuilding Initiative. Good evening, Mr. Robbins. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for the opportunity. So we'll jump in what I sent out, the report, the 1st of September for the CRI. So we've had 81 individuals participate in the program so far. Just to give you an idea, we definitely didn't imagine we would serve as many clients as we have. Our numbers are drastically up. So we'd assumed that we were gonna serve about 120 over a year. And so this kind of represents basically 4 months, and we've served 81 in that time frame. So I won't go through each one of these. I'll just kind of hit some highlights and then open up for questions or anything. So the average bond amount for the individually served is $47,000. And I know when we originally started the program, we were thinking $10,000 or less. The reason that we have it so high is we decided to take failure to appears, and those are typically really high bonds. So an individual that didn't show up to court. So we kind of focus on the original charge is kind of how we make a determination on who comes over. So it looks like that bond amount's pretty high based on that. Average length of stay of incarceration prior to coming to our program was 42 days. We're getting closer. So the original group, the original 30 we brought over, had been in for quite a while. So it's now averaging about a week, maybe 2, of being in the county jail prior to them getting moved over. So they get assessed as a potential candidate in their first week of why they're there, and then once medical and the sheriff's office have given us the go-ahead to interview them, We go and meet with them every Thursday. So every Thursday we go over and we can have 10 people in the classroom, and we interview them and see if this is something, one, they have to self-assess as having a substance abuse problem, and then two, they have to say that they want to participate. Not everybody does. When we talk about how many classes they have to attend and all the different things, there's some that bow out pretty quick, which is great because we just want to work with people that really want this type of intervention. And so any of them that said, you know, they would be interested, then they get put on a list. And then every Tuesday we bring new individuals to the program. It kind of depends on how many. So like tomorrow, we'll get 2 guys, and we got 1 guy that should be coming back. He had to go over to the main jail for a medical situation, and then he should be brought back as well. So we're averaging about 3 a week to get back to the capacity of 30. So we're always at capacity. There's always plenty of folks to still try to vet. So the average number of prior to arrests just in Washington County was 9.6. So they've been in Washington County Jail and been arrested nearly 10 times prior to coming to us. The residency prior to arrest, 37% were Fayetteville, 24% were Springdale, and then no other individual city had more than 4%. The background, 68% of them are fathers. And then 71% of those fathers did not live with their children prior to arrest. And 33% of those had not had any contact with their children prior to arrest. 40% reported past opioid use. 55% identified as methamphetamine as their primary drug of choice. And 55% report prior participation in a drug treatment program. Our average age of admission is 39 years old. The childhood demographics and trauma indicators, 56% report using illicit drugs between the ages of 11 and 15, 56% of the time. 46% experience frequent verbal abuse by a parent or an adult in the home, and 39% reported feeling unloved and unimportant as a child. 34% experienced physical abuse in the home. 25% reported experiencing sexual abuse as a child. 25% reported neglect, so insufficient food, dirty clothing, or lack of protection. 70% had parents who were divorced or separated. 33% witnessed their mother or stepmother being pushed, grabbed, slapped, or having objects thrown at them. 63% live with someone who had a problem with drinking alcohol or using drugs. 38% live with someone who was depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide. And 31% had a household member who was incarcerated. Any questions on those before we move on?
I have Justice Bruns.
Hey, Nick, you said something about capacity. How many is capacity?
30.
So you've got 30 there. Is there any way to, or any thought about doing any more anywhere, or?
So I'm not gonna have anybody sleep on the floor. So we're at like 30 is the most we can do. If we had a bigger facility, we could definitely fill up more beds for sure.
Is there any thought about the possibility of doing a women's?
Yeah, I know the county actually put out a request for proposal for a women's program, and I've had multiple women's organizations reach out to learn more about the program, and that they're putting in applications. So I believe that at some point that's down the road.
Well, Nick, you're a good asset here.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So the big reason, and just let me clarify. So TCU Behavior Research Criminal Thinking Scale is the assessment we use. And that one's really important to us because we need to understand why the individual is with us in the situation that's going on. In an incarcerated setting, it's not as easy to kind of identify it. So at our program that's in the community, we have family days, like Saturday, and you can see it. You know why the situation is the way it is. So really digging into these assessments, it helps get this information to their caseworker that works with them, as well as their mental health clinician that meets with them every week as well, to kind of start processing through some of those things. All right, so the next section is the assessment. So we'll just kind of go through this pretty quick. It's important to identify certain things that, if there's any entitlement or justification or power orientation or cold-heartedness, to understand who we're working with. And the big one that I would say that has stood out the most, and it most likely because due to the setting we're in, so that power control is a big issue. It's pretty common with men, but even more so men that are incarcerated. So just understanding that they struggle the most with the things they can't control. And I guess that's kind of all of us in life. So we spend a lot of time addressing that, especially in like group counseling sessions where we can kind of just, there's our circle of control and there's our circle of concern. We spend more time in our circle of concern because we know we can't control it. So it's easier to sit in the things that you can't control and just be frustrated about those instead of focusing on the things you can control, because then that puts responsibility on you. So we really shift towards what can you control today and what we're going to do with that control and what can we get accomplished.
Just one moment. I have Justice Coker would like to ask a question.
Thank you. What does it mean, successfully completed program? 23 is what you said. So what does it mean when someone has, what do you have to accomplish to be considered to successfully completed the program?
So where are you at?
Can we ask him to answer that question once he gets here on the presentation? Would that be okay?
So,
Or is he going to get that?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Basically, to successfully complete is you need to be adjudicated.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You need to be adjudicated, so that you actually, fulfilled your sentence. You got sentenced, put on probation or parole or whatever their situation is. So if an individual came to our program and was bonded out in like a week, we wouldn't say that person's completed anything on our end because they didn't have an opportunity to really, participate in the class. And then we've had individuals show up and decide they didn't want to be there because they have to go to class in the morning. And so then we just move on and grab somebody that's more interested, so they would not be counted as completed either. But there is no minimum amount of time. It's just about the adjudication itself.
Thank you.
All right. So client services provided. Clients with individualized treatment plans, 59, received substance abuse treatment services, 59, received employment services and resources, 40. I just want to do a shout out to Tyson Foods. They're absolutely amazing. They send a team out to our facility on a regular basis. Everybody in my building wants to work for Tyson. They do such a good job at laying out the opportunities primarily with education. They have a program where they cover the cost of individuals that work with Tyson going to school. And we've got a lot of young guys that are grasping onto that. And when you get an idea of where they want to go, and this is always the question in case management every week. So has your plan changed? You think you're going to get out and go somewhere else, or you're going to do something else? And we had one of our youngest guys there comes in, he goes, I'm going to work for Tyson because they're going to pay for me to go to college. And just knowing that was somebody that came in and just cast that vision, and good possibility the first time that young man have ever had that vision cast him, and he goes, actually my home is walking distance from a Tyson. And so it's bigger than going and getting in poultry. It's something that can open the door and change this man's life forever. Received behavioral health services, 57. Received housing services with 13. So with individuals that are coming through the program, they're all offered residential housing. We haven't had anybody that requested it and it was not received. We have numerous organizations that we work with, so anybody that said, hey, when I get out, I want to go to a transitional program, they've all had that opportunity if that was something that made sense for them. Received mental health services, 56. Received transitional planning services, 47. Received food security resources, 40. Program completion, successfully completed the program was 23. Released to the community was 19. Released to transitional was 9. Released with supervision was 17. And released with aftercare services was 23. And then the client's release for non-completion, released or they transferred to a different facility was 12. Voluntary or dropped out was 1. Failure to meet program requirements, nobody has done that. Released due to health conditions was 3. Released due to failure to follow the rules was 8. And so on the individuals, those 8 would like to kind of speak into that. If an individual, especially in a setting like ours, if an individual is not meeting the expectations, we have a thing, it's called a behavioral contract. So basically we just state the expectations that we need them to meet, and then we come up with a plan that we can work together to help them meet that plan. And then it's usually a time frame like, hey, over the next 7 days, we're gonna focus on this, and you need to, meet those expectations, or it could lead to program removal. So nothing is done without the individual knowing that would be the consequence if they don't follow through with what they're supposed to be doing. Any questions on those?
I have Justice Lemming.
Thank you, Chair. Help me understand percentages. I like a number. I like 1, 10, 20, 40. Out of 4 months, how many people?
So the 81.
The 4/29/91, the 4th month, 29th day through 9/1, that's 4 months, correct?
Is that 5 months? 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, it's 4 months. Yep. So
So-
81 people have went through the program, but some of them hadn't completed. Does that make sense? So we still have 30 guys in there.
So how many out of this 4 months completed it?
So that was the 23.
23 out of the 4 months. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have Justice Kyle Lyons. He answered the question.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so the expectation when we started the program, we didn't assume any was going to complete until the 4th month. So that's why we're kind of shocked with the amount of numbers that we're working with. I think a lot of it has to do with the Judge Taylor. She's pretty amazing. She has expedited the criminal justice system in Washington County significantly. So our expectation was, hey, an individual is going to serve 4 months prior to adjudication, and it's looking about half that right now. So we're working with more individuals. So when you come in going, hey, we're 4 months in, we just assumed we'd start seeing a couple trickle out, but it's been a whole lot more than a couple.
I have Justice Massengale.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. Just curious about these releases. So I understand what release to community is, but what's release to transitional and supervision and aftercare services?
So it kind of depends on the sentence. So release to supervision typically would be probation. So an individual did not have to get sentenced to do more time in incarcerated setting. So that's our target, is everybody that goes through our program will be released to drug court, mental health court, veterans court, our community alternative program, or probation. So that's the ideal on our end solution, because they're in the community. So then we transition the services to the community. The transitional services, just meaning that we help them transition to a specific thing. And so the main thing is the housing. So they went to a program. So to give you an example, this report was done for last month. So I'm going to include some of this month's numbers. So just through our community alternative program, we have we've had 11 guys come from the CRI to our program. It's pretty neat. On Saturday during the family day, we have 9 guys still there in the program, and the CRI staff came on Saturday, so spent some time with them. It's a pretty neat opportunity, and then we make sure to let the guys that are still in there know how these guys are doing. We send them pictures and kind of cast that vision of what life could look like once they get released. These guys are all out doing great. So, yeah.
I have Justice Lines.
Hey, thank you, Chair. What's the length of a stay for an individual to complete?
So currently on average, we do, that is not listed here. I'll have to look that up for you. My assumption is it's about 45 to 60 days. We have some guys that are because they've been there the entire time, that are jumping that up significantly, but then we have some people that are just there for a few weeks and get adjudicated.
Okay. So if you were looking at the 23 individuals that completed, where did they come in at? I mean, so you've got that, the one question you answered, I was adding up here, it's like the numbers weren't coming, but you got you said 35 people, 32 people still in the program currently?
30, yeah, so 30 people.
Somewhere in there.
So you got your 30 people, then you've got your 20, sorry, I got stats everywhere right now. Was it 23 that completed? And then you have your individuals that didn't make it. Basically, they got bonded out, so they still have to be adjudicated. And then you have individuals that got removed from the program. So you add those all up, that is the full 81.
81.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So I was just trying to understand, that 23 over the 81, but you still got really 35 there.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
got 30,
that only comes
30.
out to be 28%, which doesn't look good, but again, you still got 35 that you're working with, so it's a skewed number, in my opinion, right? So how does that 23 work out? You had, you started with 8, I think, and then you had more come in, and you built.
Yeah, so we started with 5, and then just kept doing 5 every week until we got full.
Oh, 5 and then 5 new,
yeah,
until you were full with the 32 beds, you said, I think?
30.
30 beds?
30 beds, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I have Justice Koger. Thank you. Wait a minute, your mic is now off. There we go.
Okay. It seems like a high number transferred to different facilities, 12. What other facilities would they go to?
So typically that's ACC.
I'm sorry?
Arkansas Community Corrections. So that would be an individual that got new charges, was arrested, but they were already on parole or probation. Before they go to court, they'll actually get transferred to Arkansas Community Corrections Facility to do what they call a sanction. So they can go do a sanction. It could be anywhere between 30 days to a year. And then they would come back after that, and then they would still wait to go to court. So that's all the transfers.
Okay. One other question. Do you take people who are on disability or who can't work out in the community?
Yeah, we don't ask about their any physical limitations.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions regarding the report that we have? I have one more. Justice Lopez.
A clarification, any question on the report or to where you are in the report?
On the report, or if he's got.
I was under the impression you're still going, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have something, but they're pertaining to a later portion of this.
Okay.
Okay.
So to get into the spot where it says voluntary activities, so we have classes that are voluntary, and then we have classes that are mandatory. So they're mandatory classes. It's at least 2 a day, and then you got case management and you got your counseling. But then we also have at 7 in the morning and at 7 p.m. at night classes you can attend as well. So it's people in the community, professionals coming in and teaching as well. So I just kind of wanted to give you a list, give you a glimpse of what that looks like. So we have employment and career development, and that's Tyson Foods. Health, nutrition, and wellness. So Jacqueline, who's absolutely amazing, she comes to all of our facilities. She actually cooks food while she's explaining how to eat healthy, how to manage a budget on your food, and then all the guys get to taste it. So that's their favorite. Then we have Alcoholics Anonymous that comes in as well. We have some substance recovery stuff. We got faith-based support and discipline, Genesis Church, Freedom Seekers, Cross Church comes in as well. We got personal development and emotional health. So Hal from Held Housing comes in and teaches trauma-informed study using the book Broken Boy to Mended Man. And, so we have another team, Mark Stallcup's team, that comes in, does strengths finders and emotional intelligence. We have one of our staff members that does atomic habits. We do a fatherhood program as well. We do education and lifelong learning, and that is with Fayetteville Adult Education comes in and teaches the guys. Which is brand new. We're pretty excited. Hopefully next week it'll start. Goodwill of Arkansas is going to open up academy at our location. So we just got 4 computers set up so they can start taking some certification programs on that. So we're actually learning more about that so that we can then help the clients engage at that level. And then we have community engagement and housing support. Becky Sisson and Wade Jones from Seven Hills will start coming in soon. And then there is, we do trauma healing as well, which is a really good class. So just so you know, I mean, there is so many people from the community pouring into these men. And I'm not going to come up here and say it's like, one, I think we have an awesome staff, but we have an unbelievably amazing community that has an open door to our facility, which is unique in an incarcerated setting. Usually the walls are to keep people out, but we're having them come in droves. And so we have a unique opportunity for these men to raise their social capital, create a new network. And that network represents all the things that they know they need in life to be successful. And in the past, they've leaned on past toxic relationships to provide those things. Our men it's very common that they will be talking with and engaging with some woman that is not living the right life, but represents, will have a place to live. So they'll stay engaged in those relationships because they represent some stability. So bringing in the community, building these new relationships, and then seeing them engage when they get out is pretty awesome. Obviously, at the CAP program, we're able to see that a little easier because we see those guys, those 9 guys right now, engaging with the community. But we know the other programs they're going to as well, the Freedom Seekers, the Hal Housing, all the places they're going. If it's Salvation Army or Pearl, we just have lots of groups that are, really wrapping their arms around these men. And I didn't put this number on here because it's too early. It's a pretty unrealistic number to keep. But currently, as of today, we just did a study of the 31 men completed the program. Only 2 of them have came back over the last 5 months. And so that represents a little over 6%. The national average for jail is 80% recidivism rate. So one, we're never gonna keep a 6%. Like there needs to be more time for them to mess up. But just to know like this is moving in the right direction, and not only are these guys out doing well, we're connected to many of them. So it's not like, yeah, I hope he's doing well. It's like, oh, I can tell you where he's working. I can tell you, I saw 9 of them at church on Sunday. So like we see them everywhere. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity. This is very special. This is very unique. We've had people from the state, we've had senators, congressmen, we've had people from all over come through this building and go, hey, we've never seen anything like this. Especially the people that were doing the audit for that grant that we got. So the auditors that audit all the jails came in, they're like, you gotta be kidding me. They were just blown away and like coming up with other ways that they could support it. And so it's really exciting, but we know that we wouldn't have the opportunity, we wouldn't be where we are today without you all support. I mean, it was a huge leap of faith, and we are very aware of that. And we just want to thank you for that opportunity. Any other questions?
I have Justice Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins, again for being here. I have a question regarding, so on the page where we're talking about identifying areas for improvement.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know what goes into the thinking here, deciding what somebody's criminogenic needs are. That seems, the phrasing of that is a little interesting to me. I want to give you the opportunity to get into that. What exactly are you building profiles for why these people might offend?
Yeah.
I wanted to provide you an opportunity to expound there.
Absolutely. So the criminogenic needs identify specific things that's keeping them from being successful. If it's housing, if it's antisocial relationships, whatever their struggle is, these are individualized. This isn't just because we're working with 30 people doesn't mean we address everything the same way. So we want to make it individualized so that we understand where are the concerns, where are the barriers for this individual to be successful. Because if we don't identify them, they're never going to see them themselves. When you're struggling, well, just in life, it's hard to self-assess, to go, here are the things that I'm struggling with. But as you're taking these assessments and it just keeps ding, 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 this is the one, and then you can start have that conversation and go, hey, what does that look like? We have, obviously, all these guys that are in jail want to get out of jail. And so we'll ask them, okay, what's going to be different next time? And as the longer they're in the program, the more they can identify there has to be a difference. So we had an individual that we were working with, he was a couple months, and we knew his home situation was very unhealthy. It was not stable. Most of our guys, it's over 70% were homeless prior to incarceration. So we know that's obviously a big piece of it. And the individual, as we were talking and we started the conversation about transitional housing, we're like, hey, we think this is your missing piece, because he was very willing. So it wasn't just, hey, I don't want to change. It was like, no, I know I need to change it. And then we're like, hey, maybe you don't have the structure in place to be able to change. And so we're just kind of working through those conversations. He ended up getting bonded out. And within 2 weeks was back in jail with violent charges that now 100% going to prison. We can't work with him. We no longer have the ability to come alongside this individual. And it's because he went to a very toxic place that there's no other outcome that we as a community could expect from this individual until we can get him to a healthier place.
And to follow up, so I know that a lot of more modern criminology is more dictated towards what they call gene environment agreement, or that the environment that you're in would lead to you having maladaptive episodes. Your maladaptive behaviors, they are brought forth because of your environment. Yeah. So if I'm understanding it correctly, a lot of it is changing what you can change. What can you do about a person's environment? I understand adding social infrastructure so that the people that you typically would rely on have changed. You're no longer going to a toxic relationship, as you would say, and you're instead, building inroads with, faith-based groups or other job groups. Is that sort of the intention? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. And when we get to the CAP program, kind of talk about that, but I would just jump in here and give you one example. So we had an individual for 17 years was in the homeless community. A lot of physical issues, so struggled with keeping work, and then when you're not working, then you start hanging out with the wrong people, and it's just kind of this cycle. So when we got him, let's just say it wouldn't be the person you would typically target for our type of program, and pretty low functioning, so it was easily manipulated. So if he was doing well briefly, he'd be taken advantage of because of the environment he was in. And so we brought him into our program in Huntsville. We set him on a physical regimen. We got him into the doctor, started getting some of his physical situations taken care of. And after a month, we were to a point where he could start working. This is a guy that hasn't had a driver's license in 17 years. This is a guy that hasn't been able to hold down a job more than a couple months. Now this individual has been with us, I think it's like six to 7 months. This man who is in his upper 50s has not failed a drug test, has thousands of dollars in the bank, shows up to work every single night. He's one of my favorites. He's so amazing. He's got a car, got his driver's license, doing all the things. He actually is in our aftercare program where we teach them how to be homeowners. So he's living in one of our tiny homes. So he has his own cabin that he has to take care of and maintain like you would your own home. All his classes are about next level stuff. This is no longer survival. This is thriving. He just started a 401k when he found out that his employer would match it. So he reworked his budget so they can do that. He's gotten CDs. He's looking up his credit score on a weekly basis, just crushing it. I mean, the only thing he struggles with is he never has his phone when I try to call him. We really got to tell him, keep your phone on you. But other than that, he's doing amazing. And that was because it was an environment shift. There were lots of conversations where we had to sit down and go, this is not acceptable. You can't behave this way, or you can't speak to people this way, and you got to do. But when you're doing it from a loving setting, and he knows, oh, I know you love me, and this may not make sense to me, but I'm going to do it anyways because I trust you. Sky's the limit for these guys, and so, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And I have one last one. I know, so a lot of these people who go into this program have struggled at some point with addiction. Yeah. I know one of the symptoms of that disease is kind of a temporal distortion where your ability to perceive the future is different, where you or me might think of the future as being a month or 2 months in the future. Yeah. Someone struggling with addiction, future might look like a week or 2 weeks.
Or an hour.
What is the process to kind of rebuilding a sense of the future is longer than 1 to 2 weeks, and there are things that we need to plan for outside of those immediate 2 weeks? What are your successes? What have you found struggles in? I'd like if you have that information.
Yeah, a lot of it's SMART goals. So you're setting up your big goal and then the achievable goals, and so we're focusing on those achievable goals in our case management system. We're able to set goals and we put specific timelines so to keep them focused, because we want a goal that's not achievable in a month. We want big goals. And then what are the little things we need to do to get you in line to achieve the big goals? So they'll have, like it'll say percentages, like once you complete that, you're this percentage closer to your big goal, and it'll specific dates on when they need to get them accomplished. So that is a huge one, because usually it's like an hour. It's like, what do I need to do in an hour? Because I'm not thinking of tomorrow. A big thing is scheduling. They really struggle with it. So we're literally getting their phones and like setting reoccurring alarms on paying fines and fees, and it's those small things that they can not think about because they're thinking of the big thing, the big barrier, and they get really focused on what's keeping them from being successful, and go instead of going, here are the things I can control today, and just achieving those action items.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Do you want me to
keep
jump
going.
into CAP?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. So I'm gonna give a brief history of CAP because it's been going for 5 years, and most of you, well, not most, a lot of you are still here, but not everybody is. So give you an idea, I believe it was 2018, 2019, I met Sarah Moore and Beth Koger, and we were in my building, and they were getting a tour of the work we were doing, and we were working in the state reentry space. So we're working with men coming from the prison system. And they were telling me about what a JP was and what a quorum court was, and they're like, hey, I think we need to do this in this county. We need to do it locally. And so I remember they said there's 2 people we need to introduce you to, and we're going to set those meetings up. And one was JP Rio Stafford, and the other one was JP Deacons. And so they got me in the meeting with both of them. We kind of cast the vision of what we could do in our community by providing an alternative sentencing program. Then that led to meeting with some judges and some prosecutors and public defenders and said, hey, would you even use an alternative program? So instead of sentencing somebody to prison, you would sentence them to a community program that's not ran by the state. And so we can provide a different environment and a different opportunity and support all the different things that we believe they need to do to be successful. So we're very blessed that you all took a leap of faith on us and funded 8 beds. And at that point, we were in Springdale's where we had our location. We were leasing the space out there. So we started with 8 beds and started learning all the things we didn't know and tried to understand what the dynamics of working with people locally were. Biggest thing is we found out we needed to get out of major street in Springdale because, boy, the second class ended, the whole building was empty, and those guys were running around and missing work and doing all the things. So we ended up two years later transitioning, getting a facility in Huntsville, Arkansas, and it's about 2 miles outside of town, and it's out on 14 acres, so we're pretty secluded. And then we came back to the court and asked for 3 years of funding to provide this service. And so we went from 8 beds to I think the next one was 12 beds or something. And then for the last 3 years, we've been providing 26 beds to Washington County in this alternative program. Last year, let me give you an idea of what that is. So individual gets sentenced to us. The sentence says you need to be with the community alternative program for 4 months. And then once your 4 months is up, typically they're on probation for whatever duration of the sentence they would have typically gotten. And so they just need to stay out of trouble and you're good to go. So when they come to us, first things we do is we get them all the identification they need. We get them on health insurance, and then we work to get them a job. So we have 2 partner employers. Our one employer is Tyson, and so we work on a 3rd shift at Tyson. So we drive our guys from Huntsville to Berryville. So make a 45-minute drive and then drop them off and then come on back. And then we work 2nd shift with Butterball. So those individuals are working. It's usually within 2 weeks. I was super impressed. We just got some guys at the end of last week, and they both got jobs. So that was surprising. But they're doing good. So everybody in the house is currently working. We have 30 men in the program. We have now extended our program to 34 beds. So we were able to find a way that we could serve more people and not cost more money. So that's been exciting. But our septic system says we're capped at 34. It can't handle any more. So when the individuals are with us, they're going to the class during the day. They have case management sessions that are individualized. We do a lot of financial management. We do not control anybody's money, but we set up goals financially. Most of them are to pay fines and fees off, and we'll get that into the report. And then they meet with a mental health clinician as well while they're in our program. A big piece of what we do is we introduce them to people in the community that have services, such as banking. So I think it was 8% of our guys average having a bank account when they come to us. So just the idea of traditional banking is scary to them. They think it costs money and they're going to take their money and bad things are going to happen. So we actually have our best bank comes into our facility and teaches classes. So they build a relationship. So every single person in our building knows Miss Ashley. And every single Friday when they get paid, they're going to see Miss Ashley. And so, and then we have a partnership with AR Care. So everybody gets a physical when they get into our building and find out what do we need to work on if it's hepatitis C or whatever illness there is that we need to kind of focus on while they're with us. And so AR Care comes in and teach classes. And so they know who they're going to see is the biggest thing, is having a relationship with somebody before they take that leap of faith, because none of my guys go to the doctor. They go to the emergency room, but they don't set an appointment and go and meet with their primary care physician. So we kind of shifted that focus. So those are the different things. And then the individuals are with us for 4 months. And so before I get into this, one last thing. Baylor University came out and did a study last year. It was over 3 years of the community alternative program. And so the individuals with the same charges that were sentenced to prison served on average 3 years. And when the individuals got out, they were going back to prison 60% of the time. These individuals that we target are what we call lifestyle crimes. They're the ones that actually recidivated at the highest level because it's something they're doing on a daily basis. Somebody's not shooting somebody on a daily basis, but they are stealing something for drugs, or they are selling drugs, so these things are lifestyle crimes, things that they're doing repetitively. And so the individuals go back 60% of the time that come through the state of Arkansas prison system. During that same time, we worked on average with a guy for 6 months. And of all those guys that we served over the 3 years, 4% of them end up going to prison. And so an investment of 6 months drastically reduced the likelihood of them going back to prison. And we even took it a step further. We track how many times did they go back to Washington County Jail, because that's a big one for this community that matters. So we were able to reduce our recidivism rates 42% of going back to Washington County, and the highest percentage that go back to Washington County is for failure to pay fines. So that's a big struggle, and that's a big piece. When we read through this, we'll kind of talk about how we try to identify them. We can't always get all their fines paid off while they're with us, because they owe a lot of money to many, many cities and counties and state and everybody. So the CAP model, evidence-based programming, comprehensive support, community-centered approach. So to give you an idea, for the last year, August 2024 to September 2025, we received 166 referrals from the criminal justice system. So to get an individual into our program, basically a public defender gets with the prosecutor and says, hey, would you be willing to sentence an individual to this program instead of sending them to prison? And then if they say yes, then they send us a referral and says, hey, they'll sentence them to you if it's a good fit and if you have a bed availability. So we received 166 referrals, and we were able to serve 79 men in that time. We're unable to serve 59 of the men. Of individuals that we approved but never arrived, it was 11 individuals, and that's because most common is they get sentenced to Washington County, then they had a hold to another county, so they were taken to another county jail, and then when the individual got out of that county jail, they just ghosted us. So we're calling them, we're talking to the jails, but they can't hold them like Washington County can, because they've been sentenced to us. So they cannot be released till our staff shows up on property and they release them to our custody. And then we have 17 referrals pending. So just to give you an idea, we could never serve all the referrals, mainly because of our septic system that we get. But it shows a lot to us that the Washington County criminal justice system believes in the work that we're doing, that they're referring so many people to us. That was the first year. We really just spent the first year of running CAP 5 years ago just convincing them that we kind of know what we're doing. We're going to give it our all, and we think we're going to have good outcomes. So like I mentioned, the recidivism is 41.2% compared to the 80% for a national county jail. Fine resolution, so over that time frame, we've resolved $91,000 worth of fines, which is huge on our end. So the averages payments per participant in our program is $1,350.48. Method of fine resolution, so 60.9% of the fines were satisfied through direct payments, meaning they paid with cash to get those paid off. 21.7% were resolved through time served. So our staff works with the district courts. So we're contacting the district courts. We send letters of participation, and we work with the courts really well. And then also 19.6% were satisfied through community service. So there's particularly certain cities that work out really well when they find out individuals in the CAP program. They'll say, hey, give me this amount of community service. I'll give you this much time served, and you give me this much in cash, and we'll call it good. So we've had a lot of stuff taken care of that way. In program achievements, 84% established a bank account, 100% got health insurance, 94% established a primary care, 43% relinquished holds on their driver's license, which every time you get in trouble for anything, there is a $100 hold on your license. And it just keeps accumulating. Even if driving had nothing to do with it, they're just gonna tack on $100 and suspend your license. And so, I mean, guys are owing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get their license back, even though it had nothing to do with their license. And it makes it very difficult to get to work when you don't have a license. If you're not in our program where we're driving you to work, it makes it extremely difficult, and then we're gonna blame you for not paying your fines and fees when we okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, sorry. So our outcome status, so we had graduates, in the last year's 36 graduates, 46% of our total population. Our current participants are 17. Discharges, so 13 people were discharged from the program. 10 people left the program. We call it absconding, so they just quit and took off. Program failures was 1. So total served in that time frame was 77. Employment is a big piece, what we talked about. So 100% of our clients got a job. An average time for admission to obtaining employment is 23 days. We're getting better at that. Bringing on Tyson as a secondary employer was a big piece for us, and that just happened in the last, I think, 6 months. Prior to that, we had another employer that wasn't working out well as far as the quickness in which they're hiring. So we really need somebody to be a partner that's hiring every single week so the guys aren't taking a really long time because their fines and fees are accumulating. 66% work at Butterball and 33% work at Tyson Foods. Recognizing that 75% of our clients are fathers, family reunification is a core focus on the work that we do. So at admission, 20% had no contact with their children. 39% had phone-only contact, 24% only had random interactions. Post our program, going through it, 53% report being more involved in their child's lives. 68% describe the relationship as much better, while 30% describe it as better. UAMS Fatherhood Fire program that they go through with us, 54% of the clients have successfully graduated that program. Strengthening their parenting skills. And then our family day that we do once a month, it averages 70 visitors with nearly half being their children. So it's a lot. We're already so we just had family day on Saturday. We're already gearing up for the Halloween one. We have 6 tiny homes on our property that guys are doing their aftercare program. And so they got these decks, and so they're already coming up with ideas. We're going to do trick-or-treating at all our doors. We have lots of doors on our property, and so they're already designing it, and I'm seeing stuff everywhere already. So kids were very excited. So that's what this is about. I mean, it's about impacting the next generation. Our heart is to break generational curses, and these men are doing that every day, and we get to see their families and how excited the kids are. So that's pretty awesome. So I'll mention the funding request. I know there's not going to be a vote, but I just kind of want to give you an idea. So the last 5 years of running this program, it was $60 a day per bed. And that is a lot, but we also believe we bring a lot to the table as far as the success of the individual. This request that we would have now actually represents $43 a day per bed. So we've been able to provide more services at a reduced cost. And the overall ask, the last time we came, was $520,000. We're actually able to now provide the program for $506,000. And please understand, 5 years ago, things cost a lot different. Prices went up, but we made sure our programming did not. So we're very strategic. We're good beggars. We will ask people for free stuff all the time. I got a free 27-foot teepee the other day. It was amazing, and Family Day was awesome because because of it. So we're always looking for different ways that we can keep the costs down. And so that money would provide another 12 months of funding for the program for 2026. Any questions?
Do we have any questions? When do you have to have the funding secured?
Sorry.
When do you have to have the funding secured?
So we actually have referrals on hold. We cannot accept anybody because we don't have 4 months of funding. So we have to be able to have 4 months of funding to be able to guarantee if a guy gets sentenced to us that we can provide the full 4 months of his sentence, or he could be in non-compliance part of his sentencing agreement. So the hope is what we told all of our referral partners. I said, give us a couple weeks and we'll have something figured out. So we're kind of past due.
I have Justice Koger.
Thank you, Chair. And so we have statistics for 1 year, but what about the other years? I mean, wouldn't it be better to have a whole complete overlook?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
So this was basically just from our that last study, that 3-year study that was done, and then we just went from there. But we can combine it all.
Okay. Do you get funding from other sources other than the quorum court? Does returning for
So
this?
individual donations, we also receive program fees for the individuals that are in CAP, so they pay $120 a week to receive services. So for $480, they get all their food and housing and transport, and we know some programs do that for free, but we don't believe in handouts because you got to earn it. And so it's it represents a very small percentage of their total cost. We also have some churches that support us. We try to get grant funding. That has disappeared significantly lately. There were some federal funds that we would receive, we had for the last 5 years, that went, well, it didn't go away. It was just posted for 7 days and then shut down. That is extremely common. Not 100% sure if SAMHSA is going to still be around. So basically, the grants are difficult these days, and so we're more reliant than ever. And those extra funds that we're raising go towards the overall organization's costs, because the cost to run each of our programs doesn't include all the overhead that it takes to actually provide all the services that we do. So it's just the direct cost for that specific program, for that specific client.
Okay, and I'd like to ask the same question about CAP as I ask about the other program, CRI. Do you take people who are on disability or who are physically unable to work, like at a factory job? Could they still get in CAP?
So CAP, if they can't work with our 2 employers, they wouldn't be able to come into the program because it is a work program. So we have some, I would say it depends on how you would qualify an individual. If they're actually receiving disability and they say, hey, I can't work to get my check, then we wouldn't be able to work with them. If an individual is saying, I need to have a job that has reduced duties, both of the employers that we work with do have positions that would meet that need.
Okay. And when you talk about unable to serve, 59, is that 59 out of the 166?
Correct, yeah.
Could you just name some reasons why you were unable, why someone would be unable to be served?
It is bed capacity. They were just full.
Okay.
Yeah. So we always keep up with all the attorneys that refer people to us, and so there's a newsletter that gets sent to them, so they know how many beds are open, and then that's when they bombard us trying to get those beds. So we let them know. We just say, hey, this could be a good fit, but we understand there's messaging. We understand if you have to move on to something and get done quicker because we don't have the capacity to serve. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Does that bed capacity include your tiny homes?
So we
or
got
is that separate?
That's together. Yeah,
That's
34 total beds. Yeah, at the Huntsville location.
How much is a cost of one tiny home?
$75,000.
$75,000.
Yeah.
And Habitat Humanity would build them for. I know.
You said it.
I have Justice Lyons, and then I have Justice Lemmy afterwards.
Simple question. The stats 24 to 25, were you using all 34 beds during that year?
We had 32 beds.
32 beds during the year.
Wait a second. No. So we had 26 beds, and then in March of this year, yeah, I believe it was March of this year, we went up to 32, and then just a month ago, we went up to 34.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had the original 26 that you all funded for most of the 3 years, and we just increased
Increased it.
by
So-
building.
So that number of beds increased throughout this last year.
Yeah, just us keep building onto the property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Dick, this all happens in Huntsville, Madison County, is that correct?
Yes, yes, sir.
Nothing happens in Washington County?
We couldn't afford it. We sure tried.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
3 times the amount to find anything in Washington County that would have worked.
We all know that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy here.
It really is.
Are there any other questions? I have Justice Lines? No?
Okay.
I think the ordinance says this funding is for 2025, but I think we just heard it's for 2026. Can we have that updated, please? Sorry?
It's not on the agenda.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, when this comes to us on Tuesday, it should be for 26, correct?
No, I think the funding is
No.
to go into place now in 2025, and we'll then start from now and go into 2026.
Can you help us? My understanding is you're looking for guaranteed funding for 26 so you can start taking people again.
Yeah, I think the idea was that that money would get moved into an account so that we can start taking people, but it wouldn't start pulling funds until next year.
But is it going to be on the ordinance, is it 2025 through or 2026?
No, it'd just be 2026. 2026.
Okay, so on the ordinance,
I just, again,
Yes.
I apologize. I just wanted to
We'll
get
look
a
at
correct
that.
one so we didn't have a problem later on.
all right, with that, we have citizens' comment. Good evening. Please state your name and your address. And for me, would you just state who your JP is so that way we know
Kenneth,
who represents you on this court? Thank you.
Kenneth Lovett, Fayetteville, Arkansas, JP Bruns. There's a difference between the job of a county judge and a county sheriff. County sheriff budgetary control involves the sheriff overseeing their office finances to ensure adherence to the county budget, managing personnel, operating expenses, and capital purchases in accordance with state laws and policies. If you take away the sheriff's budget, you're going to take away from proper law enforcement. All that shouldn't be pulled into one thing. It should be left in the account for the sheriff's office. You're taking away maintenance, you're taking away generalist, HR, help desk, technology. There's a lot of technology that police need that the county does not need. We've run into that in Tawnytown, where the police said they needed something, and it got all in a mess because nobody was directing it. But the police were the problem with the IT issues. But all this stuff, you just heard Mr. Robbins bring a report about approaching things with love and care. I hadn't seen a lot of love and care around here when I've been showing up, especially from Judge Deacons. So I know y'all moved this away from tonight, but I'm here to talk about it tonight. So I just wanted to make sure that you realize that there's something going on between the judge and the sheriff, and it's not appropriate. And the judge needs to get in his own lane, in my opinion. So I want to read something that I seen on Facebook today. Quoted, "As a society, no matter what our individual beliefs, either politically or personally, when we disagree, we cannot lose sight of our civility toward one another. We cannot start believing that violence is the answer when we disagree or when our values don't align. I can't say it any better than this. John 13:34-35. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. I don't always love one another. I'm not perfect. But I believe that the issues in this court with the judge and whoever else, let's see, this ordinance was requested by County Judge Patrick W. Deakins and drafted by County Attorney Brian R. Lester. Thank you. And drive out and check out Justice Lyons' new paved road too. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Please state your name, your address, and who your JP is.
Good evening. My name is Bryson Austin. I live in Fayetteville, and Justice Washington is my JP. First, I just want to say thank you to the JPs that took certain agenda items off of the agenda. That was most appropriate. Thank you for not letting our democratic process be steamrolled by individuals who would not want your oversight. And I also want to say for the director of the CRI, I think, pretty sure when Justice Koger asked him a question, he kind of admitted to a federal rights violation, which is kind of the same violation that this court has been accused of, the ADA, not allowing people who get to work or people with disabilities the proper accommodations to find jobs so they'd be rejected from the program. I don't think that's legal, but that's not for me to dig into. But also, we didn't know that the CRI program was something you had to pay into, and something that you're sentenced to, that you have to pay into, and that you have to work sounds a lot like indentured servitude. It doesn't really sound like you are contributing or having your life made better. It sounds like you were being forced to do something, so it's a little bit better than jail. Everyone in that jail deserves the same programming that these people in CAPS and CRI get. These are mostly pre-trial individuals, and we know that pre-trial services help rebuild families and also reduce recidivism. But they're treated like criminals even though they haven't been convicted of that, and our founding fathers would abhor something like that. We had founding fathers that represented some of the worst quote-unquote criminals until they were convicted of their crimes, because that is what we are as a society. That's what our rule of law is. It's innocent until proven guilty. And then Justice
Excuse me, you have to address the chair and the chair only. You cannot just address any of the members on the court. Those are the rules.
Okay, I wasn't addressing him. I was just saying, I was looking at his name. Justice Rivera Lopez mentioned that a lot of this is from people's conditions in their lives. And so we're punishing people for leading lives that we don't agree with or we don't find godly, but we don't exactly judge them based on the circumstances from which they came from or why they might have certain actions or commit certain crimes. He mentioned that a lot of men that go into the program are unhoused before. And I don't know if you've ever been hungry. I don't know if you've ever had to stay in the rain. But I don't know how civil I would be if I was unhoused for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment.
Good evening, Sherry Main, 15451 Riches Road, Fayetteville. I want to comment, I was at the planning board meeting, at the September planning board meeting, I think that was last week, and we had 4 out of the 7 planning board members were present at the meeting. This seems to be a habitual thing, having enough there for a quorum. Sometimes there's only 3, but at the last several meetings, there's been 4. I would highly suggest and respectfully suggest that this body consider adding 3 more members to a total of 10 to the planning board. This would, I think, help with the conversations to approve or deny conditional use permits with more input. There were 2 cups that were very controversial at the last meeting, and they were tabled. And also increase the pay to $250 to be fair and equitable to the planning board members. On another note, I had prepared something tonight that was on one of the removed agenda items, and I wanted to speak towards moving everything from the sheriff's office to the county building up here under Judge Deacon's purview. I think this would be a mistake. I think it's vital these positions stay at the sheriff's campus because of logistics. 2 employees in HR currently handle over half of the total county employees, which is approximately 620. So 310 employees are at the sheriff's campus. And also, these people who are going to be displaced by moving them have been employees there for 1.5 to 28 years. And they have names. There's Sam, the legal counsel. Cassie is the HR director. Teresa is the HR assistant. Jack is the IT director. Vaughn and Chris are under him in IT. And then we have buildings and grounds. There are 3 employed there. We have Corey, Sam, and Zeke. So that's a total of 9 that would be displaced. The jail needs, their needs need to be met 24/7. And they have needs that happen multiple times daily. With the 9 employees moving to the courthouse, this will cause a delay in immediate services to the jail operations. Thank you.
Thank you. How many more minutes we have? Okay. Good evening. State your name, your address, and who your JP is.
Hi, Sarah Moore. I live in Fayetteville. I wanted to bring forward, in regard to the jail, something where I'd written in and requested and mentioned it before, that there has not been at the County Services Committee meeting a public update on the expenditure of the $18.8 million ARPA-funded jail expansion project. We sent a letter that showed you that several components are showing to be overspent versus bid. And we know that there's escalating prices on that market, so we hope that there will be a public conversation and update that's just not showing us the ongoing process through cameras, but looks at the budgetary constraints, as well as talks about what the operations and maintenance will be and how we will fund that ongoing. I also, in the number of population that was given by the Sheriff's Office, want to draw your attention to the federal beds, who have seen a 58% increase over previous year to about 100 beds that are being used for federal folks, which was asked for previously before the expansion, whether or not we might potentially add beds to service the federal folks. It kind of looks like we are. Moving on to the conversations in regard to returning home and the CAP program and the CRI. On the CRI program, I really want to challenge us to really look at what the RSAP program and what we signed up ask for us to do. When we talk about completion being the adjudication, that's not really what's listed in the documents. That's a part of what goes to ADFA and what we're responsible to through regulations. There's a specific timeline that lists an intake and stabilization of 2 weeks, skill building and treatment for 4 weeks, reintegration planning for 6 weeks, and aftercare. And so it doesn't seem like we've explained anywhere in our application and speaking with the state that just getting to adjudication was a completion. And so I'm concerned if we are offering all of the things that are outlined in this packet, and I'd be happy to share that was submitted to ADFA and that we're supposed to be reporting on. In regard to CAP, want to remind us that that has previously been covered with American Rescue Plan monies, and this would be the first time we're considering this out of our general fund reserve monies. $500,000 is a lot of money, and I've run out of time, so I'll follow up later. Thank you.
Thank you. Justice Dennis, did you have a comment that you wanted to make? It's been, okay. With that, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.